moja kwa moja, naomba tafadhali, labda hili ni jambo ambalo huwa hamlifanyi, lakini kidogo kote kote watu wanakifanya. Naomba sote tusimame tafadhali, sote. Nashukuru county government represented, community leaders, strategic partners, lakini pia kuna wenzetu ambao wanatizama sasa hivi kwenye Facebook, mtandaoni, wanatizama, wanajua hapa Nakuru kuna kongamano hapa. Sasa ningependa uchukue simu yako mkononi, tizame ambaye amesimama kando yako. Tutachukua kile ambacho tunaita selfie. Naam, selfie, ili tukumbushane na tuwaambie wale ambao hawako hapa kwamba tunakutana. Chukua hiyo selfie na yule ambaye kila mmoja chukua simu yako bwana, chukua simu yako hapo moja kwa moja ukachukue picha selfie. Haya, nenda kwenye picha pale, kamera pale, weka kwenye kamera. Na wale ambao wako mtandaoni, naomba tafadhali muweke, inaitwa hashtag Nakuru Citizens Forum. Kama uko kwenye group WhatsApp, naomba tafadhali uweke picha hiyo hapo. Haya, kuna hata kabisa. Haya, mwenzangu yuko wapi? Ian yuko wapi? Ian, njoo tuchukue hapa moja kwa moja na kwenda kwenye Facebook. Haya, tutachukua moja hapa. Tuko Nakuru County na tuko Citizens Engagement Forum. Asante sana, shukran. Waweza kuketi tafadhali, na unapoketi tafadhali, nataka uende kwenye mtandao sasa. Nendeni kwenye mtandao, simna simu sio? Sasa nendeni kwenye mtandao moja kwa moja. Kama una wifi, kuna wifi pale, kuna password pale. Haya, nataka mjitayarishe, nataka tu nijue kwamba sote tunaafikiana hapa na kwamba tuko pamoja kabisa, ili tuweze kuendelea pamoja, isiwe tu ni mazungumzo. Haya, sasa naomba tafadhali uende kwenye simu yako, uko na wifi, uko kwenye internet, nataka uchukue simu yako, nenda kwa pole tu www.menti, menti. Tafadhali kila mtu una simu, naomba uende pale menti.com. Ukishaingia utaonyeshwa, utahitajika kuweka code. Code ile unaandika ni 354847. Naona kuna wengine wanaandika, usiandike kwenye karatasi, nataka uandike kwenye simu. Simu ni moja kwa moja. Chukua simu yako, kwa sababu tukiondoka hapa haitawezekana. Haya, na nitajua ni wangapi ambao wamefanya kazi yao, kwa sababu kuna naona huyu hapa amepata A kabisa, huyu amefuzu namba 1. Ukiona ile thumbs up, nataka uende press that button na nitaona ni wangapi wanafanya kazi yao, wanasikiliza maelezo, ili tukitoka hapa watu 4 makofi. Asante, tuendelee. Tuko karibu 20 hapa sasa, tufike 20, watu 4 hapa. Nenda kwenye simu yako www.menti.com, weka code namba 56. Asante sana, naona tuko pamoja kweli. Kwa pamoja, tuendelee. Bonyeza pale. Hapa ndo tutasaidiana, kwa sababu utaweza zungumza hapa, lakini ukifanya hapa, ukishafanya haya mambo yote, CSUDP, Kara, wanachukua hii data kufuatilia baadaye ni mambo gani ambayo tumeyazungumzia, na how can we now engage further proactively so that it's not just any other forum here. No. 9 people. I need 8 people now. 12 people there. Well done. Tuendelee. Chukua simu yako. Labda wewe ndio unatuwekesha hapa 13. Tunataka tufike 20. Kwa sababu huku bonyeza bado tuko 13. Twende. 14, 15. Aha, sasa waona tumebakisha watano mko wapi? 16, fantastic. Twende. 17, fantastic. Watatu tu. Chukua simu yako, watatu. Wawili sasa. Wawili mko wapi? Chukua simu yako bana. Bonyeza pale kama huko. Wa kwanza, moja tu peke yake. Makofi yenu tafadhali. Makofi. Watu 20 wameingia kabisa.
Na record.
Na baadaye tutawauliza maswali. Usiguse simu yako ukafanya mambo mengine. Hapo achilia. Ukiwa na maswali sasa, zile wakuu wetu wanazungumza, utaiweka pale. Ukiwa na swali unaandika pale, itatokea hapo mwenyewe. Kila mmoja wenu, hebu angalia, what are your recommendations? Nataka tuandike kitu kimoja ili tuweze tujue wale ambao watakuja kuzungumza wajue kwamba hawazungumzi tu, lakini pia kuna maswali ambayo yataulizwa ili tusije wakati usitupite. Angalia tu, what are your recommendations to the board? Ndio watakuja wazungumze, alafu pia mtaongezea, lakini kwa sasa ni recommendation gani ambayo utatuma ili tuweze kuangalia, alafu wakija waanze kutuzungumzia, basi tuanze kuona naam, kuna mambo ambayo yanasikilizwa na tuko hapa tukuzungumza tu, lakini kuna wengine pia wanatusikiliza kabisa. Nani wa kwanza? Andika tu recommendation fupi tu. Wa kwanza anasemaje? To make the board proactive in citizens matters. Huyo ni mmoja wetu hapa. Sasa ungezungumza, kuna wale ambao wamesikia, tuna rekodi, lakini kama tuko na adequate housing and slums management board, mnapata ujumbe. Tukiendelea tutakuwa na maswali. Yule ambaye atakuwa anazungumza pale, naomba board unaangalia pia kwenye ukuta, ukiona kuna swali ambalo linaulizwa, naomba tafadhali pia uzungumze ili tuweze kushikilia na wakati. Structure, representative and coordinated citizen management, important to engage across the board. Fantastic. Makofi yenu tafadhali. Tutaendelea moja kwa moja hivyo ukijua ya kwamba tunashikilia mawazo yako, tunatilia maanani kabisa. Kwa sasa tulianza na what are your interests. We were given thoughts, we heard, and we want to take that conversation further, where now we can say, what is the board going to bring onto the table? And specifically looking at the Kenya Urban Support Program, and ultimately we look at resolutions. But then, before they come, this is the reality of this county, at least the general view so far.
Here in Nakuru, it's not news that the industrial sector is in crisis. The Nakuru railway station is a testament to how bad things are. Before recession, it used to employ more than 5,000 permanent and casual workers. But it's been abandoned for more than a decade.
There's lack of employment in Nakuru. In fact, you cannot come to Nakuru and work. There's no jobs in Nakuru.
Nakuru currently has an unemployment burden of approximately 675,000 young people competing for limited opportunities.
Kama sasa sisi hapa kwa wengi wamegraduate, tuko na kazi, mwingine amefanya computer, na unaona bado tuko hapa. Tunafanya tu boda.
There's no option. They cannot go to any factory. All these factories are closed. So they want to go to border and start hawking small businesses.
There you have it. What can we do? part of the solution. Kabla tuendelee, kulikuwa na a comment from a gentleman from the banking sector. Bwana Samuel, uko wapi? Bwana Samuel, tupe maelezo yako, your interests as we push the conversation forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Samuel Kare, representing the financial sector, but I'm the branch manager of Equity in Cape Town. So our interests to the new board that is coming in is, when I was looking at the functions of the board, the paper that I have, I got interested in function number 13, where we talk of as will be delegated by the county government, collect rates, taxes, duties, fees, the surcharge on fees. And we had an interest there and say that the world all of us is moving towards digital cash, be it what you call the m-commerce or be it what you call the e-commerce. And there, maybe my contribution towards the board is that that's where the world is moving, and we need to digitize the cash. And of course, there it comes with our interest that we'll be able to support you in terms of making sure that we are able to digitize the cash. Ironically, is that when it's a payment from government is digitized, but when it's a collection, cash is still an option, which I think we need to make sure that going forward, we are able to digitize that. And the advantage is that all of us, and the moderator has just taken us through, all of us, I was actually going loud, all of us have smartphones. So that means that gadget you can be able to use even to operate your bank account. So there is no reason as to why the cash cannot be digitized when you have a smartphone with yourself. So it will be self-service, and of course we have seen the world all of us is moving towards that. The second interest is, and I know there is a member who had contributed this one, is on SME empowerment. The reality is that the board and the entire county government or even the national government cannot be able to absorb the number of graduates that are coming up each and every year from our institutions. That's the reality here in Kenya. And the only sector that will be able to create jobs is the SME sector, be it direct or be it indirect. And here we want to come in and support the SMEs in terms of making sure that they have a multiplier effect of creating the jobs. And so we would want to engage the boards as you meet those particular forums. Let's work together. Probably we can be able to give you our input in terms of how to engage that particular class and how can we be able to measure the number of jobs that have been created by the entire of that particular sector. And then lastly, we also want to come in and partner and say that there is a lesson that we are never taught in school. And during tea break, we were just having a conversation and say that we might have gone to school and done some very interesting papers, architecture, engineering, accounting, lawyers, and what have you. But we are very poor even in managing the little resources that we have. So we would want maybe to work together and know how many people are able even to prepare a budget of their business, of their household. Are we together? So how many people are able to prepare the budget? The county government, the national government, each and every year before they begin spending, they prepare a budget. Ourselves, before we begin spending, do we prepare a budget? Do we prepare a budget? How many people are able to do that? And After you prepare a budget, we talk of savings, yes, 30 seconds. We talk of how do you bring a savings culture? Then what are the financial services that probably we can be able to benefit? That, especially as I can take, what are the financial services that the financial sector has arrived towards the Big Four agenda? And then lastly, and the most important factor is how to manage the debts. Debts are not bad, but they require to be managed. How do we manage the debts? Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Twende pale labda tumpe alafu
Thank you. My name is Roland Queenslocker, board member of MBA. In addition to you, please, about the SMEs, we are representing the SMEs, and as said, they are the motor of economy and also of employment. From the other side, in addition to number 13 about fees and other costs, in our group there is quite a fear about the raising costs for doing business. And it looks a bit an anarchy. Each other time we are confronted with new regulation, new costs, and it is very difficult talking about budgets to be proactive on that. So the idea is to come together with the authorities to have a more, let's say, an agreement about the coming time related to that and what we get in reverse of that. Another issue is that is rather urgent is the climate for doing business, which is also including the state of the transport infrastructure and let me say in general, because we are going to the city status, and in the MBA anyhow there is quite a discussion about the pros and cons of the city status, and we have not yet concluded. But if you go to the law, I keep it short. If you go to the law, then the city status can be granted on the numbers of the Nakuru residents, but not on all items that are named to become a city status. And what is lacking in that list is, let's say, a rating of the quality of each item. I think if we pay that attention to that aspect as well, that we can get a better town, because we need also the qualities of all the items which are mentioned in the law. And with a better town, you can do better business. And that is the second agenda point of the MBA. Thank you.
Nafahamu ya kwamba kuna maelezo zaidi tungependa kupata, lakini kwa sasa kwa sababu tumepata maelezo kweli kabambe, naomba tafadhali tumpishe Architect Maina aweze kutuzungumzia kuhusu ili jambo la Kenya Urban Support Program. Alafu jinsi nilivyoambia, kutakuwa na nafasi yako wewe kuuliza maswali, na yeye akiendelea basi ataweza pia kuyajibu. Makofi yake tafadhali.
Yes, good afternoon everybody. If you look at your program, you will notice that there's a small slot on the scope of the Kenya Urban Support Program, KUSP, Building a Common Understanding. A presentation to have been made by the board, but I will do a very quick one. You are all aware that moving forward, a lot of the proposals that you will be making as stakeholders presenting them to the board for purpose of implementation will need to be funded. And a lot of these proposals or projects will be capital intensive projects that will require a lot of input. And by now you must be aware that the budget of the municipal board and by extension the budget of the county government is fairly limited. And therefore, we will have no choice but to reach out to other partners, other organizations, to be able to bridge the gap so that the projects and programs that you will be bringing up are funded. And having said that, let me mention that all of you are familiar, or most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with a number of programs that have been implemented in the past. And I just wanted to pick a few so that we get to understand moving forward what it is we are saying when the gentleman from the Ravine market stage proposes that we create a complex for hawkers. Okay? A complex for hawkers is what? From a point of view of a user, it is probably space where they can put their goods and make them available to the common mwananchi, so that as people are going home in the evening, they're able to access that market. To the county government of Nakuru or any other county government, or to the board for that matter, that is a serious capital intensive project. And when it comes to managing of programs and projects, all of us are aware that projects have what is referred to as a project cycle. So where we are now, and starting off these engagements with the stakeholders, we are probably at the initial stages where we want to start identifying projects and programs before we begin to think about how they will be funded. So allow me to just mention a few initiatives in the past that are on the ground, and you can go there and look at them and begin to understand what it means to fund projects and programs moving forward. I will start with the one that was funded through the national government, the Kenya Slum Upgrading Program that was initiated through the Ministry of, I believe, previously it was a Ministry of Housing or the local authority. And this was initiated with partnership with the Municipal Council of Nakuru. And if you walk around, you will notice a number of projects that were done using funds from the World Bank, mostly targeting slum areas. A case in point is the social hall in Kyoto. Unfortunately, that has not gone very well, because as we talk, probably the social hall is still unused, but the initiatives and the ideas were good. Another initiative through the World Bank is the Kenya Municipal Program. And the Kenya Municipal Program is the program that is responsible for all the footpaths that you see on Kanu Street, on Oginga Avenue, on Government Road. It is responsible for the high mast street lighting that you see at the Shabab market, that you see in Barnabas, at the bumps there at the shopping center, and a few other areas. I'm just mentioning a few. You're also familiar with the Kenya Informal Settlement Improvement Program. Those of you that are from Nakuru West, specifically Kaptembwa, Ronda, and Gilani, you must be familiar with the upgrading of the previously unusable roads from gravel standard to bitumen standard. You must be familiar with the construction of stormwater drainages. You must be familiar with the sewerage upgrading in Gilani. Finally, which is what is in your work timetable, the Kenya Urban Support Program. is a follow-up of the Kenya Municipal Program. What the World Bank does is that towards the end of a particular program, they would initiate a continuation of a similar program to be able to fund programs and projects that remain outstanding. Under the Kenya Informal Settlement Improvement Program, those of you that live in Kaptembwa, in Ronda, in Gilani, and also those of you that are familiar with London Hilton, Lakeview, and Kiamrogi, you must be aware that the World Bank had initiated projects and programs to be covered under KISIP Phase 2, and those are likely to take place in the near future. Under the Kenya Urban Support Program, depending on the population of the municipalities in the year 2009, the World Bank has funded the municipalities to the tune of 2,000 shillings per individual, so that the population of Nakuru being around 330,000, Nakuru benefited from approximately 750 million Kenya shillings. These are funds that are intended to improve infrastructure and upgrade the living standards of Kenyans or citizens of Nakuru. Let me deviate a bit and mention this, that cities do not belong to anybody. And that is the reason you will walk into the restaurant downstairs and you will encounter a gentleman from Chile or Timbuktu, and he'll have coffee, have a conversation, and move to Kampala tomorrow and be able to feel at home and not feel threatened. So cities do not belong to anybody. And that is the intention of organizations such as the UN Habitat and other UN agencies and other bodies around the world that benchmark with each other and tell each other that in this city we are here. And if you go to the next city, you will find yourself living under similar standards. And that is why we have what we commonly refer to as the Sustainable Development Goals, that are 17 goals that allow cities and other entities that bring development to benchmark with each other. Is it in health, agriculture, water, sanitation, urban development, and so on and so forth. In the cities, we are concerned with SDG number 11 that talks about making cities and urban settlements safe, resilient, accessible, and sustainable. And based on that, many of the programs and projects that you will see being done in the municipalities, in the cities, are geared to operationalizing that concept. And why we are here today with our partners, together with the board, is to ensure that the programs and the projects that you somehow fit the profiling under those concepts. So the Kenya Urban Support Program currently in Nakuru Municipality has 4 projects that are at various stages of implementation. All of you are familiar with the Fraha Stadium. Anybody who is not familiar with the Fraha Stadium? The socio development menu in the Kenya Urban Support Program. It was the thinking of the county government that we need to upgrade a Fraha Stadium, and this has been allocated Kenya shillings 300 million in this first cycle of Kenya Urban Support Program. In the long run, you will have a Fraha Stadium improved to the standards of any international stadium, the likes of what we have been watching in the AFCON in Cairo and other places. The project should be kicking off any time. The funds have been allocated, the procurement process has been carried out. The next project that has been identified is a fire station. You're all aware that investors in a city want to be assured that all risks related to fire disasters and others are well taken care of. So the fire station and a disaster management center will be constructed right next to the old town hall so that it is accessible for all those enterprises that are within the CBD and the surrounding areas. The third project, that one has been allocated 160 million shillings. The third project is a drainage improvement project. Very soon, in fact, next week on Thursday, His Excellency the Governor will be launching this project. The works have been awarded, the contractor is on the ground. The groundbreaking will be done next Thursday, so you're all welcome. The notifications will be going out through your sub-county administrator in Nakuru East. So make it a point to join His Excellency the Governor on Thursday next week. The drainage improvement works, one of you talked about the storm water that I believe it was the lady seated at the front. All the water from Milimani and other areas ending up in Manyani, in Kakutembwa, and destroying a lot of our properties. So one of the initiatives under COAST is to upgrade the infrastructure for stormwater drainages. And I mentioned the word resilience under SDG number 11. All the projects and programs we want to run and operationalize must be done in such a way that they withstand the test of time. And that is the reason you probably are seeing a lot of concrete drainage works being carried out. Because the resilience means that come rain or shine, the infrastructure stands the test of time. And finally, the last project, the drainage works is funded to the tune of 145 million, this first cycle of COAST. We have proposed to do a bus park. One of you mentioned that it is the wish of the users of the urban space that we distribute transportation hubs to the various areas so that people from, I think it was Abubakar, so that if it's people from the eastern side, you don't need to come. Certain challenges about the land, but that will be made clear as we move forward. We had identified a partner called the Kenya Railways that owns a lot of land in this town, and we want them to cede or allow us to use part of the land that they own so that we can put up some of this infrastructure. Finally, moving forward, COAST is a 5-year program. Every year we get money depending on how much we use in the previous year. We shall be engaging you moving forward. And I'm happy that now we have a board. And the board will be very critical in engaging stakeholders on identifying projects under the menu. The menu will be made clear as we move forward, so that it is you who is telling us what it is you want the program to fund. Very quickly, other initiatives that are important to begin to understand. It is very important that we understand how programs and projects are funded and operationalized under the county government system, under devolution. And you need to be familiar with a document called the County Integrated Development Plan. You need to get a copy. You can get it in the county website, because that is a blueprint that we are using to put up projects and programs over the next 5 years. Familiarize yourself with that document, because no donor or investor is likely to put in money in Nakuru County unless it has been mentioned as a program in that document. Very important also, we have been funded through the World Bank and other agencies, and we have what we refer to as the Integrated Strategic Urban Development Plan for Nakuru, also for Naivasha, but specifically here we want to talk about Nakuru. That is a document that tells us how it is we think Nakuru City Municipality, for a start, wishes to look like moving forward. This document is in the final stages of being approved by the County Assembly. It has gone through quite a bit of public participation. I'm sure many of you participated in these processes, funded through the World Bank under the Kenya Municipal Program. Also, we are in the final stages of approving the spatial plan. And if you look at the laws that have been enacted since we passed the Katiba in 2010, the County Government Act, very important act of parliament, If you look at section, I believe, 11 on county planning, many of the issues that you bring up here must be contained in an urban development plan. And we have one for Nakuru. The board will, through these public participatory meetings, make it one of their agenda to bring out the content of this plan. Because many of the items that you have mentioned, be it transport, the markets, are contained in that document. Let me end that discussion there. There's a lot that can be said regarding the Kenya Urban Support Program. We are aware that we have not covered as much as you may have wanted us to do, but this is a start. And anytime you get an opportunity to give an input in a meeting such as this one, please attend these meetings and give your inputs. If your ideas are not taken on board, come next time and bring the same ideas. Let me leave it there, and I want to thank you for coming. Asante sana.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. Very informative, but it's a start. One thing I've picked here that is very critical is the place of information. If we don't know what is contained in the County Integrated Development Plan, we will not have a conversation. If we don't know what the Integrated Strategic Urban Plan is all about, we will not engage. And of course, the challenge also to the board is to come up with a communication strategy so that the people will also know what's happening, what is contained in the plans, so that we can move together. But I want to open it up. Kuna jambo ambalo architect amezungumzia na labda ungependa maelezo zaidi ama ungependa kuongezea.